The beat had not yet completely stopped, but ARMY's heart had already stopped. What exactly is the meaning of Jungkook's gaze to Jimin in the middle of the Mona Lisa choreography? Is this just part of the movement? Or secret signals from their past? One gesture, one moment, an electrifying moment. But what those millions of eyes saw was only the surface. Behind the stage, there is a story that is deeper, more personal, and much more emotional than anyone could imagine. And now, everything is open. But is everyone ready for the truth that has been hidden for so long? That night, the stage was warmer than usual. The glowing lights are not just to illuminate the dazzling figure of J-Hope choreographing Mona Lisa. They are to capture an unexpected, unplanned, and possible moment. It'll never happen again. Jungkook, as usual, was by the audience's side, but his body danced along as if the stage was his. No one expected that, when beat stomped, he would move his hands in such a specific way. But it wasn't just the movement that kept ARMY riveted. It was where the movement was headed. Jimin, the question now, why? Is this a coincidence? Or is there something deeper, more emotional, and more secret that is being whispered through that one little gesture? Armies around the world instantly enlarged the clip, replayed it, dissected frame by frame. Not because they want to overdo it, but because something in themselves says, there is something unusual here. And who can blame them, when even Jimin's expression seemed to change just a split second after? A little smile, or a gesture of understanding. Is this part of nonverbal communication that only they both understand? Does this refer to a memory that they can only secretly recall? We all know, not a single move Jungkook made randomly on stage. He is a perfectionist. Even his breathing is choreographed. But why this time? A gesture seemed so personal, so raw, and so not like Jungkook, who usually keeps his expression in front of millions of pairs of eyes. Another question began to arise. Is the gesture a form of apology? Or is it a reminder of something they have long buried together? And why did Jimin look down after him? Did he hold back the laughter? Or holding back tears? The fact that they are in the same place, at a moment as full of energy as J-Hope's Mona Lisa, is enough to evoke nostalgia. But that gesture? It was like a small spark that blew up all the feelings that ARMY had felt in the past. Their togetherness, wounds that were never explained, and warmth that occasionally appeared only in hidden gestures. Some fans even linked it to a moment last year, when Jungkook had sung part of Jimin's Promise in his live broadcast, and Jimin only replied with an eye emoji. Yeah, just emoji. But enough to make the fandom wonder for months. And now, this gesture feels like a continuation of a wordless conversation that has been going on for too long. Have they ever quarreled? Are there any important moments behind the scenes that they never talk about in public? If this is how they convey feelings, then what kind of feelings are being conveyed? When the ARMY realized that Jungkook's gesture was aligned with Jimin's seat at the back, they fell silent. Nobody wants to conclude too quickly, but isn't that too much of a coincidence? Too fitting to be considered just improvisation. And what if we say that this is not the first time? Some clips from previous concerts reappear in the timeline as similar gesture, but never so noticed. Now, everything is like puzzle pieces that are starting to come together. Are they communicating in their own language? And more importantly, what message do they want to convey? Jungkook and Jimin aren't just two BTS members. They are two souls who since adolescence have gone through a storm together. They know each other more than anyone, even more than they might realize themselves. It's no wonder, then, that one small gesture can mean the world, and the world. In this case, the ARMY world is experiencing an emotional shock that cannot necessarily be described in words. As Jungkook looked down after the gesture, the camera caught something on his face. An expression that is neither laughter nor tears, but like relief. It was as if he had finally dared to say something that had been held back for so long, and Jimin, a few seconds later, touched his chest. Not the choreography. None of those moves were in J-Hope's original choreography. But Jimin lowered his head, held his chest, then smiled faintly. The question is now getting stronger. Is it a form of recognition? A sign of forgiveness? Or a secret message that only the two of them understand? Some fans began to draw a line of red thread to the rough times of last year when Jimin was briefly on hiatus from online activities and Jungkook disappeared from Weverse for weeks. Is it all related? And if indeed the gesture is a message, for whom exactly is it intended? For Jimin? For the army? Or for themselves? We can try to rationalize everything, saying that it's just part of the dance. But the army knows better. Because if this is just a dance, why does their heart feel heavy? Why do so many people cry for no apparent reason? Why the 3-second video feels like it's opening an old wound? Cure him at once. This is the power of BTS. This is the magic of communication without words, without sounds, without long explanations, but just one gesture to make the world stop for a moment and ask, what really happened between them? And we know that the answer will never really be what they say, but they showed. Little by little, in a smile, in the face, in the dance, and in a fleeting gesture, Yang is now a new icon in the long history of the complicated, beautiful, and emotional relationship between Jungkook and Jimin. So, after all this, do you still believe that it was just a random move? Or are you also beginning to feel that something bigger is being whispered to us through one small gesture on the big stage? Because sometimes the most emotional, not the one that sounds, but the one that can only be felt if we go back to Jungkook and Jimin's relationship history since their debut, one thing is certain. Their relationship was never simple. They are not just group mates. They grew up together from an uncertain teenage age to a revered icon of the world. In the process, they went through a lot of things that they never shared with the world. But one thing can always be felt, a deep closeness, sometimes quietly warming, sometimes looking tenuous, and sometimes returning like a home that never really left. Jungkook once referred to Jimin as Hyung, who always knows when I'm not okay, even before I speak. And Jimin once cried at the mention of Jungkook's name in an interview, saying that he's stronger than people think, but I know when he needs a hug. Those words used to be considered sweet. Now, after the gesture in Mona Lisa, everything feels different. Did the gesture come from an old memory that only they knew? Several armies began recasting forgotten public moments. When Jimin accompanied Jungkook to the hospital after an injury, or when Jungkook accidentally mentioned Jimin Hyung during a late-night live broadcast and immediately stopped the broadcast. Something is not finished. Something that has never really been talked about, marked only by small gestures, and perhaps this gesture is a marker that they are finally starting to talk in their own way. Is it possible that this has something to do with the times of crisis they experienced last year? We must not forget that before the Mona Lisa, there was a very noticeable period of silence. Jimin suddenly disappeared from social media for almost 2 months, and when he returned, he only gave one photo without a caption. Jungkook has also appeared more moody in some of his appearances, not even appearing at any of the members' birthdays, something very unlike himself. Now, gestures are like pieces of a puzzle that have been scattered. Imagine if that gesture was Jungkook's way of saying, I'm sorry. Or maybe, I'm still here. Or even, we can still go back. Did Jimin understand that? The moment where he touched his chest and lowered his head quietly felt like an answer, without such a deep voice. As if he had received the message and embrace it in your heart. One gesture. But too many possibilities are open. The most touching thing is how the army began to revive fan cams, old photos, to their small interactions that were previously underestimated. Everything is again viewed with a new lens. And in the middle of that, one realization grows. Their relationship is not just a matter of fan service, not a matter of bromance, but of two people truly going through wounds and love together, whether as best friends, brothers, or something more complex than that. Then came another theory about the song Still With You, which Jungkook once wrote in a very personal tone. Is the song directed at Jimin? Is the gesture a part of the song's narrative that only the two of them understand? The song's lyrics, "You and I will be together till the end," now resonate with a heart-wrenching intensity. What happens if the gesture is a sign of the start of a new chapter? Not just for Jungkook and Jimin, but for everyone who followed their story from the beginning. Hasn't the army been watching their ups and downs for years? Haven't we all felt that not all relationships need to be explained in words, but enough with the courage to remain present? That gesture may not be the climax, but rather the prologue of something bigger. And that night, when the stage closed and the lights began to dim, the hearts of millions of fans were still burning. Not because of the Mona Lisa alone, but because of a piece of an unexpected moment, one that is opened and emotional. Do you also feel like you are surprised by something you never realized you were waiting for? That's how millions of ARMY felt after seeing Jungkook's simple gesture. Just a hand gesture, a one-way view, and Jimin's one-way reaction, but it felt like a big bang to the chest. There's something in there. There is something more than just dance, more than a spontaneous expression. And now, all eyes turned away from the magnificent stage to the meaning hidden behind one small moment. Fandom now seems to be divided into two worlds: those who try to break the meaning of the gesture as a technical coincidence, and those who trust intuition that nothing is a coincidence if it involves Jungkook and Jimin. One of the biggest fanbase accounts uploaded a comparison video. Jungkook's gesture during Mona Lisa was juxtaposed with an old moment in 2019 when BTS performed on the comeback stage of Boy With Love. There was an almost identical gesture that Jungkook also did, as his eyes clearly stared at Jimin. Does this mean something that has been formed in a tacit pattern? Or is it really a form of communication that was never meant to be understood by the public but has finally come to the surface? Someone on Twitter even said gesture is like a love letter written without words. And the other replied, or maybe apologies that are too heavy to say directly. Whatever the meaning, the gesture has certainly rekindled a collective memory that lingers in fans' hearts, of the live nights when Jungkook and Jimin jibed with each other, of the choreography rehearsals when they helped each other without a word, of the recording sessions where their voices intertwined so harmoniously, and of the moments of silence behind the scenes, shown only through one quick hug, or one gaze that was not caught on camera, but caught by the heart. Is it possible that this is about longing for those moments where they can laugh without the pressure of the camera? Longed for the days before everything got big and heavy. I miss the feeling of belonging without having to explain it to the world. What about Jimin? A few seconds after that gesture, his face changed. Not drastic, not dramatic, but enough to make the world suddenly silent. He looked down like he was holding something. Then his hands moved to the chest. Many thought he was adjusting the microphone. The ARMY knows it's not just about the cable. His hands touch right on the chest on the side of the heart. And before long, her lips formed a small smile. Not a smile for the camera, but it is the smile that keeps the unspoken story. Jimin caught him, an ARMY officer wrote in the comments. And she answered him. Jungkook never looked back at Jimin after that gesture. But maybe he doesn't need to. Perhaps he knew that the message had arrived. And probably, it was enough for him for the night. What is remarkable is how the world seemed to dissolve in the emotions ignited by the moment. A global reaction is emerging. Fan art portrays Jungkook and Jimin as two stars that are finally aligned again after a long rotation far apart. The gesture-inspired fanfiction flooded the platform in a matter of hours. Even YouTube is filled with videos of analysis, theory, and emotional reactions that capture how deeply a feeling is triggered by just one small movement. Among the many theories that have emerged, one of the most disturbing theories states that the gesture is a form of recognition. The recognition that their relationship, in whatever form it was never really over, never really gone, just saved. The question is now, saved for what? Is it because of time? Because of the pressure? Because of guilt? Or because they have too much to protect? Nobody knows. Probably we'll never know. But that gesture was enough to say one thing, that the wounds they carried never really healed, and that love in whatever form it was never really extinguished. And now we ask with trembling, was that gesture just once? Or will we see more signals like this in the near future? Dan, if those gestures are the beginning of something, are we ready to continue this journey with them? Interpreting, feeling, and accepting that not all relationships can be explained by logic. Sometimes, love can only be understood by those who dare to dive into silence. And that night, on the J-Hope stage, Jungkook and Jimin had proven that even silence can scream. The question now is no longer, does the gesture have any meaning? But anyone noticed it first. One small detail that most viewers missed, however, became the center of attention for those who rewatched the footage from the various camera angles of the fanbase. Taeil's gaze. In the midst of J-Hope's Mona Lisa stage, as the lights